This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Hello, and welcome to episode 58 of Cooking with Grief, one of the internet's undisclosed comedy general knowledge podcasts. That's right, we have a ranking, we don't know it. You don't need to know it, but we exist, and that's all that counts. I'm Chris, and as ever, I'm joined by my similarly named co-host, Chris.
Hello, that's me. We share a name, if not a lover.
Indeed.
I mean, it's probably fair to say that this podcast is one of the more popular internet-based general knowledge comedy podcasts compared to, say, anyone that any of our listeners hosts. So we're doing better than you, audience.
Unless, of course, you are the host
Sandy Toxmix listening to this.
Yeah, in which case we'll just have to take an L on that one.
Yeah, I would gladly take a knee. Like, it's nice to. I think highly of this podcast. I'm glad that people like it. We're not QI. Like, I don't think anyone has ever accused us of being it.
No, I think we've dodged that particular accusation quite well.
Yeah, we're not sold out like that behemoth of a show has.
But what we do have in common with QI is weird and wonderful. Wonderful might be a strong word because some of them are frankly disturbing.
Wonderlight.
Yeah, facts and interesting topics. So, and I mean, I really stumbled through that delivery there. That wasn't very smooth. Or very Stephen Fry-esque.
I don't know if you sold it particularly well, but I don't know if there are any buyers either, so I think it's all broadly fine.
So, just in case we have any new listeners, maybe this is Sandy's first time. The format of this show is the old format, which you may or may not be used to, is that we bring two topics.
Sorry, Miss Toxvic, I know it's your first time. We've recently changed our format.
We normally bring two topics each, which could be about anything from science to history, art, or cultural phenomena. But this time, because we know your time is precious and we are not, we've decided that we're going to shorten it, and we're going to bring one topic each. And we're going to tell each other, and by extension you, the audience, and for the first time. So you learn as we learn.
It's a really good move to suggest that it's for the audience's benefit. It's like, we know you're busy, so here's less of us. Yeah, I mean, rather than the truth, which is my schedule has not been conducive to long record sessions. But
we say as we waffle on in this succinct, or supposedly succinct intro.
Okay, yeah, good point. Let's crack on, shall we?
And on that note, Chris, it's over to you for your first topic.
So, with the announcement that we're trialling some shorter episodes, for my topic I wanted to talk about something that takes far longer than it needs to.
Is it one of our outros?
As good as any. It could Sting's Tantric Love Sessions, but like either our intros or our outros work equally well. I'll ask you, what's the longest you've ever spent on a single game of something?
Video game or...
Video game, board game.
Oh, here's one. I don't have a time on it. I wasn't recording it. And it's very weird. But in my parents' house, we have the Simpsons board game from 1999 or something like that. And it's basically like Monopoly. You got a board and you go around it and there's money. It turns out, we played it at Christmas a couple of years ago. It is the longest board game ever. Because you got to get, the winner is, the person who is the first to reach, say, $1,000 or something. And it was taking so long, we decided to halve it to $500. And it still took forever. Because, I think, again, similar to Monopoly, you get money if you land on X square and you lose money if you land on whatever. You go around the board and all that. And you basically lose as much as you... It seems to be the number of boards that give you money, squares that give you, and the number that take it or whatever, basically equal. So you just 50-50 chance every time. So you basically just seem to Oh, I've got $100. Oh, I've lost $100. Oh, I've got $100. Oh, I've lost $100. It just wouldn't fucking end. I think we just gave up in the end after doing it and being like, we've gone round the board 8,000 times.
It's now Boxing Day and none of us are happy. Yeah. Well, it's like Monopoly is a classic example of like, you know, everyone's got fond memories of it until you actually play it again, and you're like, Jesus, like there is a quick version that no one seems to play, which is if someone lands on a property and decides not to buy it, that goes up for auction. So by the time you've gone around the board, then most of the most of the properties have gone. Oh, are they?
Yeah,
oh, right.
That's what it says on the box, but like you say, everyone ignores them.
Yeah, which is weird because it's like almost like play tested by the official rules. And it turns out like Monopoly, if it's like a 2-hour max game, is like quite fun. But the way everyone else plays it is a horrible stalemate.
Also reminds me of why I don't really enjoy poker that much. Like, I like poker a little bit, but whenever I played it, I'm always like, things are going, you know, because like some card games and stuff, you can like dip in or out, like blackjack, you know, you can play a few hands and then you're done. Whereas poker's like goes again until there's one person left. I'll be doing it, and I'll be doing, you know, I usually start off doing like, you know, reasonably well, and I'm like, you know, winning and I'm, you know, I'm up. And then I get to a certain point where I just get bored. I'm like, I just want this game to end. And I don't care if I win or lose. And, you know, just end up going all in on a pair of twos or something. Because just like, I don't give a shit anymore. Like, I just want to go home, take my money.
I just want it to end, yeah.
So it's like I would literally pay you to just stop playing at this stage because I'm bored.
Whereas it might be like a more sort of juvenile game, but Snap really does like rattle along.
Oh yeah, that
quick.
One's great.
Yeah, and there's the threat of mild violence, which is always nice. Well, okay, so for my topic, I want to talk about a board game that makes your paltry 24-hour Simpsons game marathon look like an opening round, because I'm going to talk about a board game called The Campaign for North Africa, which is a sprawling tabletop military strategy board game.
It's a bit of a wordy title. You know, you got like Monopoly, Scrabble, Campaign for North Africa.
Yeah, well, you could call it CFNA, or
that's true.
Fucking if you prefer. It takes around 1,500 hours to complete.
What's that in like days? I can't do the maths fast.
Well, so for example, if me and you we met up and we played this game for say 3 hours twice a month, it'd take us 20 years to finish.
Fucking hell.
Which, I mean, like, our friendship isn't yet 20 years old.
No.
And we don't record this for 3 hours twice a month.
That's true.
It's nowhere near as fun as kind of So this board game, it takes place during the World War II campaign in Libya and Egypt between 1940 and 43, and it's set on a 10-foot long map, and is designed for 10 players, 5 allies, and 5 Axis, and contains nearly 2,000 cardboard pieces. Basically, each player takes on the role of either a frontline, air, rear, logistics, or commander-in-chief. Like a frontline commander, air commander, blah blah blah. But you can play with fewer people, but take on more roles. Now,
that's good.
The reason, yeah, in case you've not got 10 friends that you want to not be friends with anymore, the reason it takes so long is because the rules are like so granular, like from like the big macro decisions of like what army moves where, right down to like complicated spreadsheets where you keep track of like rations and fuel, but like there's so many like little tiny rules. For example, like Italian troops require an extra water ration to boil the pasta, or they become disorganized.
Sounds kind of xenophobic and stereotypical there.
Yeah, it's also like
the Italians. Yeah, I don't have my pasta and I'm lost.
I mean, I think that accent was as offensive as the like a thing of itself, but or maybe the fact that every game turn 3% of fuel evaporates, unless you're playing as the British before a certain date, because they use 50-gallon drums instead of jerry cans, so you lose 7% of the fuel expenses. It's basically like a super detailed, and it's
This is
weird,
the only game ever that is less fun than an actual war.
I don't know, British Bulldog felt like a war at school. But what's weird is, like, as a video game, like something like Civilization or like Age of Empires or whatever, like, does go into that level of detail, but obviously it's a computer making all those calculations for you.
Yeah.
The idea of, like, in your spare time, then, you know, the game can't move on until you've worked out, like, 3% of your fuel, like, as dissolved, not dissolved, but evaporated. It's just like, it's just clearly not a fun game. And reading about the game's creator, it's like, he didn't design it to be fun. He designed it to be very mathematically challenging and but reward logistics. So Richard Berg, who made the game and who is quite a big name in, like, tabletop strategy board game world or whatever, he's never finished a campaign, and it was never play tested well enough to ensure it was balanced before they made it, because they were on a deadline, and then, like, they said, oh fuck it, we'll just put it out, and the play testers went, well, we've not even finished one game because it takes on average like 7 years to finish. Like, when you're doing it full time, so it's not ready. And Berg, the game's creator, said, you know what, if someone tells you it's unbalanced, tell them we think it's your fault, play it again. So someone, like, they did try and finish it. A group of teenagers, like, you know, gaming enthusiasts in Minnesota. It must have been like a long winter or whatever. So that they decided, they were like, right, okay, we're gonna like document it, and like we're gonna do it start to finish and see if it's actually. But the campaign, it got stuck in an unwinnable stalemate because the armies kept defecting into their own militias. So, like, even the world's longest game can end in a draw, or just, like, not end. So what an absolute waste of time.
Yeah.
And
I mean, again, I feel like if your game version of a war takes longer than the actual war did, like, you've made a mistake.
3 years. Like, the real war is 3 years. But, like, for people who complained that it's basically unplayable, the creator said, look, you're meant to play it for a couple of weeks or months. After that, get a life. Which is, like, after he's taken your money, he's pretty
it's pretty abrasive.
Pretty ballsy but unsympathetic. So that's it, really. It's a completely unplayable board game meant to absolutely test you. You know, because it's like, there are games of Dungeons and Dragons or campaigns that go on for years and years and years, but that's a game of chance, and B, like, it relies along, like, human creativity.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say, that's sort of like by design, isn't it? Like, you could end it, but if the campaign wants to keep going, you know, people in it, they can, can't they?
Yeah, it's you know, storytelling essentially with, like, a game thrown in. And at no point do you have to, you know, it's not like elves have to do an extra water ration or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, there are people who've been playing the same game of, like, Civilization or, like, same, like, campaign on Warcraft for years and years and years. But that's their decision, you know. This is the only game I've found that by design is meant to be basically
unwinnable.
Not unplayable, but just tedious. Yeah. Just like, it's
just a boredom simulator.
Yeah, putting the boredom in board games, I guess. No, the boredom. It didn't really work that.
Yeah, it nearly did. If you just let me weigh over it, nobody would have thought about it.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. If I'd just taken the whey, then it would have been all protein.
Indeed.
Whey. Like, what's the most hours you think you've got in a video game?
Well, it's probably not the most I've got, but I'm 50 or 60 hours into Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I feel like the way the
There's no end in sight.
Yeah, the way the game's developing, I mean, maybe just abruptly finish or something, but, like, I feel like I'm at best maybe near the midpoint, probably not even there, based on how the story's
tricky? Snottinghamshire.
Yeah, I'm not even there yet, actually. Yeah, it's mad.
Oh, right.
I don't know, it might be. I can't remember. But yeah.
Yeah, I like that game.
It's a fun
did
game.
turn into a bit of a grind.
Looking at the when you when you save it and you click and it shows you how many hours you played, and then you're just there going like, the story does in no way feel like I'm coming to any sort of conclusion. I feel like if anything, I'm still in the exposition stage.
Yeah.
What about you?
It's probably a Bethesda game because something like Skyrim, like I played through enough times, and then like every time there's new mods, I keep dipping back into it. So I think maybe that, or maybe Fallout 3, or New Vegas, maybe like any game where you can replayability.
Yeah.
Whereas with Fallout 4, I literally got bored like mid some playthroughs. But yeah, any sort of open RPG, I think that
anything where you can Dungeons and Dragons it.
But yeah, be curious if any listeners tweet at Cooking with Grief and OG and Cooking what's the game that they've got the most hours in? Because I think for a lot of people it might be mobile games. Like they might have sunk 1 million hours into like
Candy Crush.
It's Candy Crush or Solitaire or
Solitaire.
Peggle
or one for me.
Maybe more when you had an office job. I having never had an office job, I always assume that most people are playing Solitaire.
I don't even know if my work laptop has Solitaire.
Ah.
That's how they get you. That's how they boost productivity.
Let's take it away. Whereas Minesweeper, I could never figure out as a kid, and it was just a random series of guesses that ended in failure. So, we'll move on to your topic for this episode.
Okay, so for my one and only topic, I'm going to talk to you about something I actually don't know that much about, so this should be fun.
For a change.
Mesoamerican pre-Columbian cultures.
Yeah, you're right.
Well,
I don't think either of us know.
No, I started trying to get a bit more into it because, like, say we, as any listeners would know, like, we know, I won't say we know a lot because we're idiots, but, like, we know a fair amount about, like, Greco-Roman culture.
Yeah, well, it was mostly what we learned in school.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, we've got quite a decent handle on that and, like, a bit of medieval Europe, and, like, we know, like, obviously you know more Chinese history and stuff like that, and, like, I've started learning a bit about East Asia, China, Japan and Korea, that stuff, but, like, I know a very superficial amount of that and stuff, and then, like, I realised, like, I didn't really know much about what happened in the Americas before, because, like, you've got the Incas had all these massive cities up the side of a mountain, and, like, you've got, like, everything about the Mayans has basically been corrupted into, like,
prophecy,
garbled, like, prophecies that they didn't even believe in.
Yeah.
And stuff. But, yeah, so trying to... And also I played a Tomb Raider game set in South America and stuff, so that's kicked things off a bit. Yeah, I'm gonna... Yeah, I just copped to that. It was mostly Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
So I'm going to focus on one in particular, but, like, just for a bit of background about, I mean, we've probably got listeners in America who might know more about this because it's, more their backyard. But, like, there's the ones people know about. So there's the Incas who were in South America, and, like, say they're not. I don't think they're technically Mesoamerican, but, there's a lot of, like, I think there was some similarities. I think the common ancestor way back.
MESO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meso.
Yeah, okay.
And basically Central and South America.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
North South America, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
Central America.
Yeah.
Up into, like, southern central Mexico. Cultures, they built the step pyramids. They had, like, a pantheon that was different, but then there was, like, some crossover. There was clearly, like, some sort of... there was some common ancestry with the, like, religions and stuff like that. So, like, whilst they had different pantheons, there was some, like, I think all of them most of them had, like, the feathered serpent god, and they might have different names, but it's sort of like a, there's crossover, basically. Different civilizations, but common sort of ancestry and stuff.
Yeah, in the same way
like,
that,
the Mayans...
Buddhism and Hinduism have a lot of shared iconography.
Yeah, and then you got, like, you got the Aztecs, who were basically one of the last big empires. They were there when the Spanish arrived. The Incas were down in Peru, and were there again when the Spanish arrived, so they were the later ones. Mayans were a bit before them. Like, I think the Mayan civilization had collapsed before the Spanish arrived, like, well before. And there's others, like say this is an area that's like massive. There are loads of city-states and empires and whatnot. But the one I'm going to talk to you about, which is a city-state, which predates Aztecs, and although the Aztecs apparently later turned up and did, like how bring it back to something we know. The Romans basically, like anything they saw that they liked, they sort of went, yeah, we were descended from them.
Yep.
They were like, oh, we're basically the successor of the Greeks. And then they were like, and we were founded by a Trojan. And, Hercules, yep, he was one of our founders. Apparently the Aztecs did the same. So there's this city-state, so it was called Teotihuacan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I'm probably butchering that.
No, you probably nailed it first time.
Yeah, so apparently the Aztecs later turned up, found these, remains of the city, and were like, this is fucking impressive. Like, these are definitely our ancestors.
Yeah.
We are clearly these guys' successors. So they, it's like an archaeological site now. It's like a massive, it's like a well-preserved, it's in Mexico, sorry, and it's a huge city that, fairly well-preserved. And it was apparently at its height would have been one of the biggest cities in the world.
And what sort of time period are we looking at?
I think it's about 900 AD-ish.
Okay.
Just double check that's when we're looking. Because apparently it was around from apparently founded around the year 0, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it started before then. Year 0, it started becoming a real power. And then peaked around earlier than that, so 750 AD. So
okay.
Peaked its, reached its peak.
Mm-hmm.
650, 750. It had inhabitants of, they reckon, around 125,000, and they think that might have been enough to be like the 6th biggest city in the world at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was by far the biggest city of its time, and they had, the step pyramids and all that.
They're called ziggurats if they're, got steps.
Yeah, that's it.
Boom.
Boom. And it's like these grand boulevards. But the thing that's really sort of interesting is, so people have been looking at the how people lived. Say people have been looking at archaeologists. It's their job. And what they found is it's this huge city full of palaces and temples and everything, how you imagine lots of ancient cities and stuff were, but it was one of the most, from the archaeological evidence suggests it was one of the most egalitarian societies ever.
Oh, wow.
So, there's a thing called the Gini, I think it's pronounced, or it could be Gini, Gini, and it's basically a ratio that looks at the biggest houses in a city and compares it to the smallest ones.
Mm-hmm.
So it sort of uses I don't know if that's the only way of doing it, but yeah, it basically provides a ratio to show how unequal a society is.
Mm-hmm.
So a value of 1 indicates that one household controls all of the wealth. So, North Korea, I imagine, would be pushing 1.
Mm-hmm.
And a value of 0 would be 100% equal distribution of wealth.
Mm-hmm.
So modern Mexico is 0.75, USA 0.8, so both quite unequal. Pompeii apparently has a Gini index of about 0.6, again based on the dwellings.
Mm-hmm.
And Aztec cities typically were 0.3 to 0.4.
Oh, that's interesting. Do you know what the modern UK is?
I don't have it to hand.
Okay.
This, I have to, it's one of those ones where I have to look at it and then psych myself up before I try to pronounce it. Teotihuacan.
Yep, it's getting better every time.
Gini index of 0.1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, basically, everybody lived in houses, most people, and apparently as well, the distribution of luxury items and stuff within these houses. Further evidence to this shows that people lived in much bigger houses than any other comparable city, or not they had that many comparable cities, but any other cities in pre-Columbian Americas, or even you'd expect something like that would have a king who had all the power, and then everyone else gets the scraps.
the UK's Gini, if that's how I said it, is 0.35.
Oh, that's surprisingly low.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I mean, it's good, but if the US is supposedly 0.8, then, you know. I know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I don't know if I mean, I know I just googled it, but
that much better.
yeah, I mean, given that, you know, you compare fucking Terrace House to Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm calling bullshit on that. I'm calling bullshit on that very quick Google. So the excavation's still got like ongoing now, is it?
Well, I guess it's like Pompeii, never quite finishes, but you know, there's like if you Google it, it's like a whole like, you know, it's all open.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, like you can literally just see like boulevards and pyramids all standing like uncovered and stuff. You know, it's not like digging site. It all very much seems to be and again, I haven't read to see whether or not like it was all buried or overgrown or what. Like, but as it currently stands, you can't miss it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I fully admit that I'm an idiot when it comes to absolutely most things. But it's like you said in the introduction, like our main sort of areas of interest and education are like obviously British history and you know European, focusing on like Greco-Roman. It's like I'm okay on like fairly recent American modern history. You know, I'm going to like South and Central America my knowledge is appalling. My knowledge of Africa is appalling, and it's like I really do wish that at school we taught world history rather than localized history, because we got it's like Romans, Tudors,
World War Two,
World War Two,
World War One, World War Two.
Yes, slave trade, but like not really covering it in the way that it should be covered.
Glossed over.
Yeah. I would like to learn more about.
Well, may I recommend Shadow of the Tomb Raider?
Like, not a book. It has to be a video game.
Yeah, video game.
Yeah, and if I wanted to,
some probable loose interpretations of some of the mythology.
Yeah, and if I wanted to learn more about ancient Egypt, would you recommend Assassin's Creed Origins by any chance?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Or if I wanted to learn about the history of bandicoots?
Oh, well, for that then
Spyro.
Assassin's Creed Australia. Bandicoot's Australia? I don't actually know.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Nailed it.
Where would you like the next Assassin's Creed game to be set? Because Assassin's Creed Australia is pretty good.
The way I basically learn history is I play an Assassin's Creed game and go, oh, that's interesting, I should learn some more about that. I've done exactly that with Vikings.
Yeah. Danny Wallace tells me facts about it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, like I said, they've done most of the interest, you know, most of the
the big ones
that we already shown an interest in. Like, I don't think they've done China. Oh, the Mongol Empire. There we go. That's what I'd want to do.
Mostly horse-based assassinations.
Yeah.
Fucking ride across Russia, kill a dude and ride back. Done.
Yeah, it'd be quite an open game.
Yeah. A lot of goat meat.
I feel like this episode accidentally has become more of a video video game heavy.
What we're learning is we should talk about video games because it's what we keep defaulting to.
Exactly.
Despite the fact that I play maybe 2 video games a year.
It's still our only frame of reference.
Yeah, still got strong opinions.
Well, on that note, shall we wrap up? So, that's my second topic done.
Only topic.
My first topic. Our second topic is what I meant to say. And it turns out, even with just 2 topics, we've been on quite a journey. Weirdly circled back to video games, surprising amount.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, with just 2 topics, we went from board games about North Africa through to Mesoamerican history. Or Mesoamerican, because I don't know which.
I always, because isn't miso a soup?
That's miso.
Oh, right.
With an I.
All right, no, Mesoamerican.
I don't know.
We don't do enough topics about soups. Next week, I'm going to do a topic about soup.
I look forward to it because I'm actually a big soup fan.
If people could tweet what their favourite soup is, where would they do it?
Well, I was going to say, if you got any feedback, about how this new format, this
that's better.
Cooking with Grief thing, but if you also want to give your feedback on soup, that's also welcome. So tweet us at Cooking with Grief, which is no G on cooking because we couldn't fit enough characters in, or email us at cookingwithgrief@gmail.com with all the G's you'd expect in that one.
All the G's you want, as long as you're spelling it correctly.
get in touch, comment on YouTube, because this will be on YouTube. Leave a review, please, if you liked us. 5 stars, preferably. But, you do you. We're not here to tell you what to do.
We are here to ask repeatedly, though.
Yeah. We're not your dad.
I wish I was.
And yeah. Because you guys are all fabulous. You'd all make fabulous children, listeners. I think.
So
I don't know. Anyway, welcome to the cult.
Go to bed.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No. We've somehow scraped through all the announcements.
Right.
Obviously, yeah, it helps the podcast, blah, blah, blah. I do want to hear about your soups.
Great. Well, this is what happens when we record before dinner time. Your mind's clearly gone to soup, and now my mind's gone to soup because I'm hungry. So I think it's time to say goodbye.
Goodbye, thank you for listening, and we'll come at you again soon.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
All right, everybody on the train, all aboard. You snooze, you lose.
Buy my loot boxes?
Not you. Get off the train. Don't let him on.
Oh, okay.
All right, listen here, Greenhorn. I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about how to conduct a podcast. First thing you need to know is never stay on topic, ever.
Sir?
What do you want?
People are complaining about the Venom movie still.
I don't care. Feed them Justice League or something. Get them off my back.
Copy.
Sir, it says in the book that you need to stay on topic as a podcast.
Screw the book, Greenhorn. The book was written by dinosaurs. Second thing you need to know is never report news that's not at least 2 or 3 weeks old.
Sir?
What do you want?
People are complaining about the Pokemon Go update.
I don't care. Just gag them or something. Shut them up.
On it.
Sir,
What do you want, Greenhorn?
I think the train might be going off the rails.
That's exactly how we run this show. This is the Crazy Train of Thought podcast, brought to you by the Idiot Savants. Find us anywhere you listen to podcasts.
www.crazytrainofthought.com.
Just want some soup now.
Yeah,
Some chicken soup for the soul.
but specifically the mouth part of the soul.
Well, yeah, exactly. Mostly just
The
chicken.
taste buds of the soul. So
Exactly.
I'd say probably my favourite would be like a Chinese dumpling soup.
Oh.
Well, like a nice wonton soup, something with a bit of heft.
Oh, I can actually bring in this back to my topic.
Right.
I've had a very nice Mexican corn soup.
Oh, right.
It's delicious. Yeah, like spicy chili and sweet corn, like soup.
You can put
And peppers.
You can put crab meat in there, like crab meat and sweet corn soup's quite a good combo.
Oh, that's good. Anyway, goodbye.
Oh yeah, yeah, we're still recording. Shit. Bye.